Hi there, VC. I wasn't gonna do an update video, but I'm real excited, so let's just kickstart this one, shall we? Well, what you perhaps or perhaps don't hear in the background is off of Planet Master God's new album, which will be released during the spring on vinyl, of course. We are really excited. Everything's recorded, mixed and mastered, and the cover artwork is finished and everything is sent away to the printers. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the pile of records I have massed since my last update video. And I have been making a couple of spotlight videos lately on some of those finds, but man, I have so much to show, so I thought I'd better make a collection update video. Some reissues, a bunch of originals, so let's just dig into the pile. Starting off with the reissues. I bought myself a deluxe edition of The Who's Live at Leeds, a 3 LP set, which contains, I guess, the most of the recording from Live at Leeds. The whole Tommy suite is on here, and of course all the tracks from the original release, which of course was a single album. Excellent sounding, high quality printing, printed inner sleeves. So I guess you all know this release. Sounds awesome. So it's great to finally have the complete Live at Leeds, because the original album is a good album, but to be quite honest, I don't understand the song selection on the original, but now it's complete. A reissue of the band Tear Gas. I guess this is their first album, or second, yes, their first album. Tear Gas, Piggy Go Getter. And Tear Gas was the band which became the sensational Alex Harvey band later in the 70s. I wasn't too impressed with this album. It's got a couple of fillers, too much blues boogie rock going on for me, and some softer songs. The originals are expensive, so well, I think it's a dud. A 90s release, a reissue on Music on Vinyl, The Screaming Trees, Uncle Anesthesia. I love Mark Lanigan's voice, and this is a grunge band which never got the attention they deserved back in the day. Another exciting release which I wasn't aware of. Now we are going back in time to the 70s, and it's Out of Focus, and an album compiled of unreleased recordings from 1974. Not Too Late is the name of the album. Excellent sounding, and if you haven't heard about Out of Focus, this is sort of a progressive jazz rock outfit. Started off sounding a bit like the German counterpart to Jethro Tull, a darker version perhaps of Jethro Tull, and evolved into a sort of jazz rock outfit. Excellent stuff. Another high quality reissue. Another one from a before mentioned reissue label, Shadows, and it's the South African band Suck and their only album Time to Suck. And you'd be hard pressed to find a clean original from South Africa, because most anything from that country is beat up. Comes with a complimentary single, a single-sided 45 with the track yes, War Pigs, a cover of Black Sabbath. And this album is mostly compiled of cover tracks such as 21st Century Schizoid Man, Season of the Witch by Donovan, Into the Fire by Deep Purple, Elegy by Colosseum. So it's a mixed bag of different covers, but Suck make them their own versions. Quite heavy, quite scruffy, and I guess they were intimidating back in the day in South Africa. And originals are crazy expensive, so this Shadows reissue is your best bet. Comes on the Parlophone label. That's standard practice for Shadows. They always recreate the original labels. I'm getting quite a few Shadows reissues now. I have a little pile of them in my collection, and I have never had any complaints about Shadows pressings. Always heavyweight cardboard stock on the covers and wonderful noiseless pressings. Almost always, I say almost because with the vinyl format there's always some flaws, but not on the specimens which I have in my collections anyway. Well, that was the reissues. Now on to the originals. Brace yourselves, I have quite a stack. Starting off with a long time want. You all know this one. It's of course Lucifer's Friend. It's an album which was distributed in a number of countries, and it's not hard to find at all, but to find one in good condition is quite tough. This is the original German issue with the embossed bricks here on the side and on the back. I think the UK issue only had a single sleeve and just usual laminated surface. See some a bit of embossing inside as well. And of course you all know Lucifer's Friend. Excellent heavy rock on the first album before they turned more progressive for their second and third and fourth album, I guess. This is by far the best one in my ears, but I really like their second call, Where the Groupies Kill the Blues, as well. Well, another one related to Lucifer's Friend. You know I like those family trees, and I've shown a reissue before. It's Asterix, another version of Lucifer's Friend, and this is an original Yugoslavian issue on Helidon Decca. Now, that's a rare beast for sure. Even though the cover seems beat, unlaminated and full of ringwear, the album is almost unplayed. So a very, very nice addition to my Krautrock collection and Lucifer Friend family tree. Let me get a couple more. As you might realize, we're in the Krautrock section of my latest additions to the collection. The first album by Floch de Cologne, the gang from Cologne. Political progressive group from the late 60s, early 70s on the tiny label Vietnam. This is, I bought this just for fun because I like some of Floch de Cologne's later albums, but this is quite political. Some of their stuff was released on the Or label, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a cheap one, so just for fun actually. Next up is a big want, crossed off my want list. Gila, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, their second album from 1973, I believe. Yes. And I have this on blue wax from before, an unofficial reissue. But this is the original Warner Brothers issue with a lyrics sheet and everything. Just excellent stuff. It can't be compared to their first album, which is sort of more early Pink Floydish space rock. This is more sort of cosmic folk rock, and it's a bit more mellow. And I think it's because of these two guys. This is Florian Fricke from Popol Vuh, and this is Daniel Fischler from both Popol Vuh and Amundul 2. Sorry. So I think they had a lot to do with the evolving sound of Gila from the first to the second LP. And with a female singer, this is a wonderful, beautiful album. Highly recommendable. We have more Krautrock, of course. This is the last one for this video. And I have finally completed my Wind discography. This is Wind's second album called Morning from 1972. I had the first album on the Plus label called Seasons, which is more in a sort of hard progressive rock vein. This is more British sounding actually, sort of mellow progressive early symphonic rock. On my favorite label, major corporate label, CBS The Walking Eye, and this copy is in pristine condition, virtually untouched by man before me. I don't think this is as good as their first album. Season for sure is my favorite of the two, and of course previous to Seasons they were called Corporal Gander's Fire Dog Brigade, and they released one album on the Europa label with a couple of cover tracks, but their self-penned tracks from that album are excellent. And I've seen that Longhair has reissued Corporal Gander's Fire Dog Brigade, so be sure to get a copy of that one. So, that was Wind and the end of my Krautrock showings for today. Next up will be a mixed bag of, I guess, some US, but mostly UK, I think. Let's start with a real dud. A real collection filler. Bethlehem Asylum. Now, perhaps some of you like this, but this was a boring listen. Oh, but I bought it for cheap, and it looked like it was new, brand new, on the Ampex Records label. So I thought, hey, why not try? Perhaps it's a hidden gem. Oh boy, how wrong was I? Blues rock, some country rock leanings. Well, run of the mill, boring stuff, but perhaps you like it. A Norwegian one. I found another copy of Aunt Mary's first album on the Polydor label. This is the Canadian issue, and I have both the Scandinavian issue, I have the Spanish issue, I have the reissue. So I thought, what the heck, why not pick up this one as well? Now I only lack the German issue of the first album. I don't need it, but I think it's a whole lot of fun. Multiple copies. Well, let me grab something from the pile. A respectable pile here. Picked up today a nice, crisp, very early issue of Fairport Convention's first album on the Polydor label, and by all markings on the label and on the cover, this is a first issue, a stereo issue. So whenever I find Fairport Convention for cheap, I'll pick them up. And it was fairly priced and in very, very good condition, so I had to do it. Next up, if you haven't heard about Kingdom Come with Arthur Brown, I suggest you go and check this album out. Galactic Zoo Dossier. Crazy, progressive, psychedelic rock from Arthur Brown and company. Marvelous stuff. This is an original with the poster from, I believe it's from 72 or 71. And the album after, called simply Kingdom Come. These can be picked up for quite cheap. You all know Arthur Brown, Crazy World of Arthur Brown. A nice late 70s reissue of Leaf Hound's first album from Germany, originally released on the Telefunken label before the Growers of Mushroom album. This is a 1978 reissue on the Disc Washer label. Found it for quite cheap or fairly priced in a pile with other records. Sadly it is missing the poster, but the record is in excellent shape, so why not? I guess I won't be finding Growers of Mushroom on Decca anytime soon, for a price I could live with anyway. Next up, a crisp original UK issue of my favorite Love album, Love for Sale. And these don't turn up too often here in Norway, so I just had to grab it. Got it for a nice price on an auction on that orangey Electra label. By the way, I'm using two cameras just to test my new camera and to play with some editing tools. I guess I'll be doing that one-shot deal in the future, but just for fun. Another one which I think is somewhat a dud For me as a drummer, it's lacking drums. It's Clark Hutchinson and H equals A equals MH I andre. I don't know how to read that in English. This is on the highly collectible Decca Nova label, original stereo issue with the peephole and the stereo indicator cover. The prices on this one has come down quite a bit the later years. I guess not too many like it. It's progressive rock, excellent guitar and bass work, but instead of your conventional rock drum kits, they use tablas or bongo drums and congas, sort of like Sam Gopal, which I find Sam Gopal a bit overrated as well, but that's just me. Everything with Lemmy is golden these days, so. Another cheapie, and Wella's last album, People's People. Not the best effort, quite standard rock, solid songwriting and solid musicianship. This is the German issue on the Bellophone label. And can be picked up for quite cheap. Their second album, the name eludes me, but their second album and definitely their first are the ones to get. A quite beat up copy of Steamhammer. Their second album called MK2 on the original CBS label. Excellent British blues rock. This is just a marvelous album in my opinion. They are starting to creep up in price, sadly, but they're floating around out there, so could be picked up for quite cheap. I'll give this a needle drop. Perhaps you remember my mini road trip from a couple of weeks back. Bought Nidrolog's first album called In Spite of Harry's Toenail. Ah, sorry for the glare. There are lamps everywhere. It's wintertime in Norway and it's pitch black outside almost. So I need some artificial light. This is unplayed, almost, from 1972. The seller told me he didn't like the album, so it has stayed in its cover since the mid-70s. And this cover is extremely fragile. It's sort of heavily textured and no lamination, so these are all almost always worn. Got it for a very, very nice price. He haggled with himself. You can't resist a seller who haggles with himself, can you? Guns' second album, second and last, Gunsight. The Curtis brothers, who later teamed up with Ginger Baker for Baker Gurwitz's army. Here they are called Ian Curtis and Paul Curtis. Later Adrian Gurwitz and Paul Gurwitz, which was their real names. Another copy on the Walking Eye CBS label. Excellent. Gun were an excellent band. Those two albums you just have to hear. Hard guitar, fuzz-drenched rock, and excellent musicianship and songwriting. 2 albums only. Getting hard to find in good condition, but certainly worth finding. Well, we are getting to the end of my collection update for this time, and this seems to be a long one. Oh geez, 25 minutes. Excellent, Nico. I should do these more often, these kinds of videos, because they run too long. I have already done a spotlight video on this band, so I won't talk too much about it. It's of course Marsupilami, named after a Belgian comic character. An original on the Transatlantic label. Go check out my spotlight video. It's the last track of the album, plus some promo clips and their bio. Another addition to my swirl collection, Gentle Giant's second album. A very nice copy of Acquiring the Taste with the swirl in the sleeve. And of course the spiral there. So now I have everything by which Gentle Giant released on the Vertigo Swirl label. I finally have in my collection. And Acquiring the Taste alongside Three Friends are my favorite albums. Next up, the album after Acquiring the Taste, Octopus. Also a UK swirl. This is where things get very proggy and very complicated. A bit too much in my opinion, but certainly an excellent album if you're into that sort of British complicated prog. Now, my last two are the cream of the crop, and these are rare as hen's teeth, and I was able to trade my way and both money and records to these. And I'm talking about Raw Material, which I have also done a spotlight video on. Excellent British psychedelic proto-prog on the original Evolution label, which also released our Satchel with Steve Hillage and Dave Stewart of Egg, of course. These are so hard to find, so man, this must be my find of the year. In addition to the next and last one, which is Back to Andwella's Dream, their first album from 1969 on the CBS label. And this is hard to find. Man, it's not the best condition copy in the world, but certainly good enough for me. And these are hard to come by, I tell you, man. These didn't sell well at all, with a stereo sticker there. And of course the standard orange CBS Walking Eye label. I just love that. My jaw just hit the floor when I finally made a deal with the seller, trading off some records and just pushing away a bundle of money, but man, it was worth it. Well, that's it for this time, almost 30 minutes long. I'm sorry, but if you do like these kinds of videos, 30 minutes, why not? Okay, might be a while until my next collection update video, but look out for my Spotlight On videos. I like to make short spotlight videos where I showcase one album, couple of albums, a special group or something, which I think the VC should hear about. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.